The Silent Reckoning. The void between stars held many secrets, but none greater than the one Admiral Elena Reyes carried. As she stood on the observation deck of the Defiance, Earth's last dreadnought, she gazed at the distant stars that no longer recognized her kind. The viewing portal's crystalline surface reflected her weathered face, deep brown eyes that had seen too much, and iron-gray hair cropped short against her scalp. 40 years of exile had hardened her, but never broken her resolve. "Admiral," Commander Takashi said, approaching with a datapad, "the fleet is assembled and awaiting your orders." Elena turned from the stars, her gaze steady. "Show me." The holographic display flickered to life between them, showing 73 vessels of various sizes, the entirety of humanity's remaining military force, hidden for decades in the unmapped regions beyond the Outer Rim. Each ship represented thousands of lives, the descendants of those who escaped Earth's purge 3 generations ago. 73 ships against the might of the Galactic Coalition, Elena said softly. "Some would call this suicide." Takashi's expression remained neutral. "Some would call it justice, Admiral." Elena allowed herself a thin smile. Justice, such a simple word for what they sought. The Coalition had not merely conquered Earth, they had erased it. Every record, every mention, every memory of humanity's homeworld, and their contributions to galactic civilization had been systematically eliminated from history. To the galaxy at large, humans were simply refugees of unknown origin, a scattered species with no homeland and no history. Only those who escaped the purge remembered the truth. "The excavation team has reported in," Takashi continued. "They've secured the facility on Proxima IV and recovered the archives. It's exactly as your grandmother's journals described." Elena's pulse quickened. The weapons, operational. The stasis field preserved everything perfectly. For the first time in years, Elena felt hope flicker in her chest. Her grandmother, Captain Sarah Chen, had been one of the architects of humanity's contingency plan. Before Earth fell, she and others had hidden caches of advanced weapons and technology throughout the galaxy, technology far beyond what the Coalition had ever seen. Technology that could give humanity a fighting chance. "Begin Operation Remembrance," Elena ordered. "All ships to battle stations. We launch in 6 hours." As Takashi left to relay the orders, Elena returned her gaze to the stars. The Coalition believed they had silenced humanity forever. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Supreme Chancellor Varric of the Galactic Coalition stood before the Council of 12, his tentacled appendages rippling with satisfaction beneath his ceremonial robes. The meeting chamber, carved from a single massive crystal atop the Coalition's capital tower on Centralis Prime, glowed with soft blue light. "The border disputes in the Cygnus sector have been resolved," he announced. "The Ardelian delegation has accepted our terms and withdrawn their claims." Councillor Jolak, a crystalline entity from the methane worlds, pulsed with skepticism. "And what did this resolution cost us, Chancellor?" "Merely a show of force," Varric replied smoothly. "The 7th Fleet's presence was persuasive." The council members exchanged glances. The Galactic Coalition had maintained peace among the 1,000 worlds for nearly 3 centuries through such persuasion. None dared challenge their military might or the benevolence of their rule, at least openly. "There is another matter," Varric continued. "Our monitoring stations in the Outer Rim have detected unusual activity in the restricted zones, anomalous energy signatures, consistent with pre-coalition technology." "Scavengers," dismissed Councillor Trath, a hulking reptilian. "The Outer Rim is infested with them." "Perhaps," Varric conceded. "Nevertheless, I have dispatched Admiral Keyvorn and the 3rd Fleet to investigate. If these are merely scavengers, they will be dealt with accordingly." What Varric did not share with the Council was his true concern. The energy signatures matched those of Earth weapons, weapons that should have been erased from existence along with all knowledge of their origin, if someone had discovered and reactivated that technology. The ancient protocols were clear. Earth and its legacy had been deemed too dangerous to exist. The purge had been necessary, authorized by the founders of the coalition themselves. The humans' capacity for both creation and destruction had frightened the early coalition species. Their adaptability, their resilience, their sheer determination to survive against all odds, these qualities had marked them as an existential threat to galactic stability. Varric had dedicated his life to maintaining that stability. He would not allow some forgotten human technology to disrupt centuries of peace. Varric had dedicated his life to maintaining that stability. He would not allow some forgotten human technology to disrupt centuries of peace. Admiral Keyvorn will resolve this matter quickly, he assured the Council. The anomaly will be eliminated. The Proxima Nebula swirled with clouds of purple and blue gas, concealing the Defiance and its fleet as they approached the jump point. From this position, they could access the hyperspace lanes leading directly to 3 major coalition systems. Elena studied the tactical display, where 73 green icons represented her ships, arranged in a defensive formation. The plan was audacious but necessary. They would strike simultaneously at 3 coalition communication hubs, uploading the truth about Earth into the galactic data stream before the coalition could stop them. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Takashi announced. Elena nodded. "Begin the countdown." The bridge hummed with tension as the seconds ticked away. Officers moved with practiced efficiency, their faces masks of concentration. Many were born in exile. Having never seen Earth except in the illegal holographic archives their parents had preserved. For them, this mission was more than revenge. It was reclaiming their heritage. "Admiral." The sensor officer called out suddenly, her voice tight. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Coalition signatures. The tactical display blossomed with red icons. Dozens, then hundreds of them. "It's a trap," Elena realized, ice flowing through her veins. They knew we were coming. A massive coalition dreadnought materialized at the center of the enemy formation, flanked by cruisers and frigates. The coalition forces outnumbered them 5-1. "Coalition vessels are charging weapons," the tactical officer reported. "Battle stations," Elena ordered calmly. "All ships execute defensive pattern Sigma. Prepare the Prometheus weapons." The Prometheus weapons, that's what humanity had named their final technological achievement before the fall of Earth. Quantum displacement technology that could bypass shields and defensive systems, delivering devastating energy directly into enemy vessels. The coalition had never seen these weapons deployed. Earth had fallen before they could be used. "Coalition flagship is broadcasting, Admiral," the communications officer reported. "On screen," Elena commanded. The view screen flickered, revealing a coalition admiral. A tall, gaunt alien with pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Admiral Keyvorn, one of the coalition's most decorated officers. "Unidentified vessels," Keyvorn began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic. "You have entered restricted space with unauthorized technology. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire." Elena stepped forward, her posture rigid with defiance. "This is Admiral Elena Rice of Earth's Defense Force. We do not recognize your authority or your right to restrict these sectors." Keyvorn's 4 eyes blinked in unison, the only sign of his surprise. "Earth is a prohibited term under Coalition Law 317. Your use of this designation confirms your status as enemies of galactic peace." "You can prohibit the word," Elena replied coldly, "but you cannot erase the truth forever. Earth existed. Humanity built civilizations while your ancestors were still cowering in caves. We helped form the early alliance that you corrupted into your coalition. And now we have returned to reclaim our place." "You are delusional," Keyvorn stated flatly. "Your species has no homeworld. You are nomads, refugees permitted to exist on the fringes of civilized space by our generosity. This fiction of Earth is sedition, punishable by immediate execution." "If we're merely delusional refugees," Elena asked, Then why did you bring 500 ships to stop us? Before Kevorn could respond, Alina cut the transmission with a gesture. All ships, she commanded, execute Prometheus Protocol. Target their command vessels. Across the human fleet, weapon ports opened, revealing crystalline emitters that pulsed with energy unlike anything the Coalition had seen in centuries. The Prometheus weapons discharge, not beams or projectiles, but ripples in space-time itself that passed through the Coalition's shields as if they didn't exist. 5 Coalition cruisers simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to energy in brilliant flashes of light. Coalition forces are responding. Takeshi reported as enemy weapons fire lanced toward the human fleet. Their targeting systems are confused by the Prometheus discharges, but they're adapting quickly. A human frigate exploded under concentrated fire, followed by 2 more. Despite their advanced weapons, they were still outnumbered. Execute jump protocol, Alina ordered. All ships break formation and proceed to secondary rendezvous coordinates. As the Defiance shuddered under enemy fire, Alina knew their first strike had failed. But they had accomplished something perhaps more valuable. They had revealed themselves to the Coalition. After generations of silence, humanity had announced its return. And they had demonstrated that the Coalition's greatest fear was justified. In the aftermath of the battle, Admiral Kevorn stood on the bridge of his flagship, surveying the damage reports. 17 vessels lost, 39 damage. Against 73 smaller ships with outdated technology, it should have been a swift and decisive victory. But those weapons. Analysis complete, Admiral, his science officer reported. The human weapons utilize principles theorized by our scientists but considered impossible to implement. They are at least 2 centuries beyond our current capabilities. Kevorn's mandibles clicked in agitation. How is this possible? Their homeworld was destroyed. Their technology was confiscated. Their history was erased. Not destroyed. Admiral, a new voice interjected. Kevorn turned to see Supreme Chancellor Varric's hologram materializing on the bridge. The Chancellor's tentacles writhed anxiously beneath his robes. Chancellor, Kevorn acknowledged, bowing slightly. I was not informed you would be joining this debriefing. This matter has escalated beyond a simple security operation, Varric said. What did you mean, not destroyed? Kevorn hesitated, aware that what he was about to say contradicted 3 centuries of official history. The human homeworld was quarantined, Chancellor, not destroyed. The founders of the Coalition determined that complete destruction might martyr the humans and spread their ideology further. Instead, Earth was isolated behind a quantum barrier, its population frozen in time. The barrier was designed to be impenetrable and eternal. And yet these humans exist, Varric hissed, with weapons that should not exist. These must be descendants of those who escaped before the quarantine was established, Kevorn theorized. But they should not have access to such advanced technology. All human research facilities were neutralized. Clearly not all, Varric said. This changes everything. If these humans possess technology from Earth's final days, they represent a threat beyond anything we have faced in centuries. You must find them, Admiral. Find them and eliminate them before they can reveal the truth. And what truth is that, Chancellor? Kevorn asked carefully. Varric's hologram leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. That Earth still exists. That billions of humans remain suspended in time behind the barrier. And that the Coalition's founders feared them so much they rewrote history rather than face them as equals. As the hologram faded, Kevorn gazed out at the stars, a new understanding dawning. The humans weren't fighting to avenge a destroyed world. They were fighting to free an imprisoned one. And for the first time in his distinguished career, Admiral Kevorn questioned whether he was on the right side of history. A scratchy hologram flickered into existence, a non-human figure with an elongated head and 6 eyes arranged in a circle. A Crixian, one of the few non-coalition species that had maintained their independence. Admiral Reyes, The Crixian acknowledged, their voice a melodious series of tones. When this beacon activated, I feared the worst. Ambassador Ixthal, Elena greeted. The situation is indeed grave. We attempted to broadcast the truth about Earth, and were met with overwhelming force. The Crixian's eyes blinked in sequence, an expression of concern in their species. The Coalition's response was predictable. They have maintained their lie for too long to allow it to be exposed so easily. We need sanctuary, Elena stated bluntly. And allies, if your people are still willing. Ixthal was silent for a moment. The accord my ancestors made with your grandmother was binding. The Crixian enclave remembers Earth, Admiral. We have preserved the knowledge that the Coalition sought to erase. Come to Crix Prime. You will find sanctuary there. The Coalition will follow us, Elena warned. They will not respect your neutrality. Then perhaps it is time for the neutrality to end, Ixthal replied. The Coalition's stranglehold on the galaxy has gone unchallenged for too long. We have been preparing, Admiral. Perhaps not as openly as your fleet, but we have not been idle. Hope sparked within Elena, not just for sanctuary, but for a true alliance. The Crixians were technologically advanced and had maintained their independence through cunning rather than military might. With their help, there might be a path forward. We will set course immediately, Elena decided. And Ambassador, thank you for keeping your promise. We remember, Ixthal said simply before the transmission ended. The Crixian capital city of Harmonium was unlike any human settlement. Built within the sprawling branches of giant trees that rose miles into the atmosphere, its structures seemed to grow organically from the living wood. Bridges of woven fiber connected platforms and buildings, while anti-gravity platforms allowed for vertical movement through the canopy. Elena stood on a balcony in the Hall of Voices, the seat of Crixian governance, looking out over the vast forest that covered much of Crix Prime. Behind her, the leaders of her fleet met with the Crixian High Council, discussing strategies and sharing intelligence. Ambassador Ixthal approached, moving with the fluid grace characteristic of their species. Your ships are being repaired and resupplied, Admiral. Your wounded are receiving treatment. Your generosity is appreciated, Elena said. But I fear we've brought war to your doorstep. War was inevitable, Ixthal responded. The Coalition's expansion has reached our borders. They demand resources, tribute, and compliance with their laws, including the erasure of certain histories from our archives. Earth, Elena realized. Among others, Ixthal confirmed. The Coalition has buried many truths in their quest for galactic stability. Not just Earth, but dozens of civilizations that refused to bow to their authority. Some were destroyed, others quarantined as your world was. Elena turned to face the ambassador fully. You know about the barrier. That Earth still exists. We do. The Crixian scientific caste has studied the quantum barrier surrounding your solar system for generations. It is an impressive achievement. A shell of frozen time, impenetrable from either side. Can it be deactivated? Elena asked, her heart rate accelerating. Not destroyed, no, but perhaps circumvented. Ixthal's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Come, there is something you must see. Deep beneath the forest floor, in chambers carved from living stone, the Crixians had built a facility unlike anything Elena had ever seen. At its center stood a massive crystalline structure, a network of interlocking transparent tubes and chambers filled with swirling blue energy. The memory vault, Ixthal explained. For 3 centuries, we have been collecting and preserving the true histories that the Coalition has attempted to erase. Not just data, but actual memories. Consciousness imprints from those who witnessed events the Coalition would rather forget. Elena approached the structure with reverence. You can store memories. More than store, a new voice interjected. An elderly Crixian emerged from behind the crystal structure, leaning on a staff fashioned from polished wood. We can share them, project them, return them to those from whom they were taken. Admiral Rise, This is Archivist Prime Sex-4. Ixthul introduced. They have overseen the memory vault for over a century. The Coalition's greatest crime was not the imprisonment of your world, Zex-4 said, their voice crackling with age. It was the theft of memory. Throughout Coalition space, billions of sentient beings had their memories of Earth and other prohibited histories surgically removed or chemically suppressed. Those memories were not destroyed. They were harvested. Elena felt a chill run through her. Harvested? For what purpose? Knowledge is power, Admiral, Zex-4 replied. The Coalition's founders understood this. They did not waste the memories they took. They stored them, studied them, used them to advance their own technology while suppressing others. And you believe these memories can help us breach the barrier around Earth? Elena asked. Not just memories, Zex-4 said, gesturing toward a smaller chamber adjacent to the main vault. We have something far more valuable. Inside the chamber, suspended in a stasis field, floated a small crystalline device no larger than Elena's palm. It pulsed with inner light, symbols etched into its surface that Elena immediately recognized as ancient Earth script. A quantum key, she breathed. From Earth's final days. Zex-4 nodded. Brought here by your grandmother before she joined your exodus. She believed it might someday be needed to reopen the way to Earth. We have safeguarded it, waiting for this moment. Elena reached toward the device, then hesitated. If we can use this to bring down the barrier, billions of humans frozen in time for 3 centuries will suddenly be released into a galaxy that has forgotten them. The chaos would be unimaginable. Perhaps, Ixthul acknowledged. But would that not be preferable to eternal imprisonment? Before Elena could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. A Crixian officer rushed into the chamber, their eyes blinking rapidly in distress. Coalition forces have entered the system, they reported. A full battle fleet, led by Supreme Chancellor Varric himself. The space above Crix Prime blazed with weapons fire as the Coalition fleet engaged the combined forces of the human refugees and the Crixian defense ships. Though outnumbered, the defenders fought with desperate courage, their knowledge of the local space giving them a tactical advantage. Aboard the Defiance, now repaired and upgraded with Crixian technology, Elena directed the battle alongside a Crixian commander. The ship shuddered as Coalition weapons fire impacted against its shields. They're focusing their attack on the northern continent, Takashi reported, his arm now fully healed. Directly above the memory vault's location. They know, Elena realized. They know what we found. The view screen activated, showing the face of Supreme Chancellor Varric. His typically composed features were contorted with rage, his tentacles writhing violently. Admiral Reyes, he hissed. Your defiance ends today. Surrender the quantum key and the contents of the memory vault, or we will reduce this world to ash. Elena's expression hardened. You've been reducing worlds to ash for centuries, Chancellor. Erasing histories, imprisoning entire civilizations, all in the name of your precious stability. You understand nothing, Varric snarled. The galaxy before the Coalition was chaos, endless wars, species annihilating each other over resources and ideology. We brought peace. At what cost? Elena challenged. The freedom to remember, the right to determine one's own path. That's not peace, Chancellor. It's subjugation. Idealism, Varric dismissed. Your species was always plagued by it. It's why Earth had to be contained. Your kind never understood the necessity of sacrifice for the greater good. And you never understood that without freedom, there is no greater good worth sacrificing for, Elena replied. She cut the transmission and turned to Takashi. Prepare the Prometheus weapons. Target their command ship directly. Admiral, Takashi cautioned, if we used the Prometheus weapons in atmosphere, the quantum backwash could affect the planet's surface. We've upgraded the containment fields, Elena reminded him. And we have no choice. If Varric gets his hands on the memory vault and the quantum key, we lose our only chance to free Earth. As the Defiance maneuvered to attack position, Elena received an urgent communication from the surface. Archivist Prime Zexvor's weathered face appeared on a secondary screen. "Admiral," they said urgently, "we've activated the memory vault's broadcast function. The quantum key is synchronizing with it now. But we need time, and a way to amplify the signal throughout Coalition space." Elena's mind raced. The Coalition's own communication network, if we could access one of their main relay stations. "There's a primary relay in high orbit," the Krixian commander interjected, pointing to a heavily defended Coalition structure at the edge of the battlefield. "If we could reach it, we could use it to broadcast across the entire network." "That relay station is surrounded by the heaviest concentration of Coalition warships," Takashi observed. "Then that's where we're going," Elena decided. "All ships, form up on the Defiance. We're going to punch a hole through their lines." The battle for the relay station was chaos incarnate. Human and Krixian ships formed a spearhead with the Defiance at its tip, driving toward the massive communication hub, while Coalition vessels swarmed around them like angry insects. On the Defiance's bridge, systems sparked and failed as Coalition weapons found their mark. Emergency force fields contained hull breaches, and medical teams rushed to aid the wounded. "Shields at 23%, Takashi reported grimly. "We've lost 12 more ships. We can't take much more of this." Elena gripped the command chair as the ship shuddered violently. "Distance to the relay station?" 8,000 kilometers, the navigation officer answered. "But there's a wall of Coalition cruisers between us and the target." "Prepare all remaining Prometheus weapons," Elena ordered. "Focus them on a single point in their formation. We need to break through." As the crew rushed to comply, Elena received another transmission from the surface. This time, it was Ambassador Ixful, their normally composed features tense with urgency. "Admiral, the memory vault is fully activated. The quantum key has synchronized with the barrier around Earth. We're ready to transmit, but the broadcast must originate from the relay station." "We're almost there," Elena assured them, though even she could hear the doubt in her voice. The Coalition's forces were simply too numerous, too powerful. Suddenly, a new voice broke over the communication system, one that sent a chill through Elena's spine. "This is Admiral Kavorn of the Coalition Defense Force," the four-eyed alien announced. "All vessels under my command, stand down immediately." For an instant, the bridge crew froze in confusion. Then the tactical display showed the impossible. Coalition ships turning their weapons away from the human Krixian fleet and toward their own command vessels. "What is happening?" Takashi breathed, staring at the display in disbelief. "Admiral Kavorn has committed treason," Chancellor Varick's voice thundered across all channels. "All loyal Coalition forces, destroy his vessels immediately." The Coalition fleet fractured as ships opened fire on each other, creating a chaotic melee that left a temporary opening in their defensive line. "Now," Elena commanded, "full thrust toward the relay station." The Defiance surged forward, its engines straining beyond safety limits as it raced through the gap in the Coalition's defenses. Behind them, Admiral Kavorn's ships formed a defensive screen, holding back those still loyal to the Chancellor. "We've received a tight beam transmission from Admiral Kavorn," the communications officer reported. "On screen," Elena ordered. Kavorn's face appeared, his ship's bridge visibly damaged behind him. "Admiral Rise, I cannot undo 3 centuries of injustice, but I can refuse to perpetuate it. My ships will cover your approach to the relay station." "Why?" Elena asked, unable to hide her suspicion. "Why turn against your own government?" "Because I have seen the truth," Kavorn replied. "After our battle, I accessed the classified archives. I saw what was done to Earth, to dozens of other civilizations. The Coalition I served was built on lies and suppression, not peace and cooperation as I was taught. My oath was to protect life and truth, not to bury them." The transmission ended as Kavorn's ship took heavy fire from Loyalist forces. Elena had no time to process this unexpected alliance. The relay station loomed ahead, its defensive systems already targeting the Defiance. Docking procedure initiated, the navigation officer announced. We'll be in range to board in 30 seconds. Elena turned to Takashi. You have the bridge. I'm leading the boarding party. Admiral. Takashi began to protest. This isn't negotiable, Commander. Elena cut him off. I started this mission. I'll see it through. The relay station's central control room was a cathedral of technology, with towering data cores and holographic interfaces that stretched from floor to ceiling. Elena and her strike team had fought their way through the station's defenses, losing half their number in the process. Now they worked frantically to override the security systems and connect with the memory vault on the planet's surface. Connection established, reported Lieutenant Sato, her fingers flying over the alien interface. The memory vault is linked to the relay network. We're ready to broadcast. Elena nodded, her pulse racing. Do it.